Good Thursday afternoon, everybody. Meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center watching a severe thunderstorm that's now moving in toward Flagler County. In fact, Putnam County quickly put into this warning here toward Crescent City, now out of it. And we just got a report in. It looks like they're at about 56 miles an hour with those winds in the Crescent City area. So definitely getting some pretty strong winds. So maybe seeing a strengthening wind situation with this storm as it moves further in toward Flagler County. So something to watch out for in the far southeastern reaches of our area here this afternoon. I know when thunder roars, you want to go indoors, seek shelter inside that sturdy building, and stay away from windows. So that report there with 56-mile-an-hour winds in the Crescent City area, just southeast of Crescent City itself, may be an indication here of a storm that was close to being severe at that point, but now becoming severe here as it approaches Corona and I-95 here over the next little bit through about 2 o'clock as it gets past the beach there with the worst of the threats. So again, a severe thunderstorm warning in play. At 1:29, a severe thunderstorm is located 9 miles southwest of Banal, moving east at about 45 miles an hour. And we are watching a 60-mile-an-hour wind gust threat, quarter-size hail, Flagler Beach, but now Corona under this warning here. So just go ahead and move inside, away from windows, as we have quite a bit of lightning as well. But again, watching that wind potential, I'll go ahead and put up velocity here. You see some of these brighter colors, seeing some of these indications here, and there's State Highway 11. So again, just watching this here, that heavy downpour action, bringing some of those winds down toward the surface. So I just want to be inside and away from windows. Now, this is our first warning here of the day in our viewing area, per se. You do see parts of Volusia here under the warning as well. It's kind of an odd situation because you see off toward the west, off toward the east. And in fact, I'll go ahead and switch sources here so we can, in fact, go ahead and give you a look here at what I'm talking about. I'll put our mouse on the screen to be able to see. This is parts of Volusia here, but then I move the mouse over, and we also have Volusia over here north of Pearson because of the way the county's saved for Volusia, and those areas out of our viewing circle, but that's covered by the National Weather Service office in Melbourne. But our area here that's covered by the National Weather Service in Jacksonville, parts of Flagler County, is where we're really focusing on the action here. Just that's why we have an odd situation, because two different offices issue two different warnings. The Volusia County warning also in Plato 2 o'clock, but watching some pretty nasty action, the strongest storm of the day here as we're looking southwest of Banal and not too far away from Corona at this point. So again, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, quarter-size hail, our big concern here toward our southeastern zones. As we kind of broaden the view out, you see most of the storminess has already shifted. We never had any other warnings in our area besides the one we have down here right now. So that's some good news. Got out of this without any other warning type situations evolving. We do have some storminess in southeastern Marion County. No warning there right now, no significant weather advisory. So it's looking like, unless this were to be upgraded to maybe a tornado warning, which is pretty unlikely at this point. I say that because we're at the coast. Sometimes you get a quick spin up, but more than likely, this thunderstorm warning will be the only warning in our area today. So that's some good news, but this is a pretty nasty storm. We've seen this accent go across. I'll back it up a while. You can kind of see here through Putnam, we saw some strengthening, but even going further back here, things weren't all that organized. This is about the lunch hour here, but we have seen a few power outages on the board as we go back to the current viewpoint. So that's something to take note of here. We'll pop that up in just a moment. Our other source will kind of give you some information on that as we kind of dive into some of those details a little bit further here on this Thursday afternoon. So here's a look at the board with the power outages. You see not much toward Volusia Flagler yet, but Putnam, 579 customers in the dark here. We get over toward Outages with just 7. Marion, though, quite a few customers. It's a rural area to some extent, more urban in other parts. We have 2,326 customers in the dark, and even up toward Bradford and Clay, we have some power outages as well, even though maybe not getting the severe weather necessarily. Still getting some wind there and rain that can cause some issues at times. I know towards dark we picked up 0.92 there on the rain gauge, so over 9/10 of an inch of rain there as we're looking, and that's similar to many other spots here in Bradford County. So the winds never really got that strong where I'm at here, but again, seeing some of that heavier rain, seeing some heavier wind though in a few spots here and there, causing some issues as we've alluded to. So again, let's go back over to the Doppler, kind of sticking with this because this is not going to be in our area that much longer. I will take a quick break probably here soon and then come back at 1:45. But again, seeing some of the stronger wind here around Corona, around Bunnell here. So I just want to be inside and away from windows in this vicinity. Really getting nasty there along State Highway 11. Conditions deteriorating here along US Highway 1. So just be aware of that here. I-95 are going to be seeing some worsening conditions before this gets over more toward A1A. So just giving you that look at things there. And in fact, I know I've been checking some other information as well. We did see a categorical upgrade here as we pop one over toward our other system because I want to pop that up now to see what we're talking about. Actually, just put that on the screen for you. You see toward northern Florida, the severe risk trimmed away. It does a good job showing that. You see no severe threat anymore toward Alachua, Bradford, Clay, St. John's. Just watching toward Miriam, Putnam, and in toward parts of Flagler. And really, at this point, Putnam, that threat has wound down with the warning being canceled out there. You saw the Volusia section just taken off the board. So really down to Marion and Flagler, and really just Flagler here. So zooming back in, you do see here the lightning on the board, and then taking off the radar. You actually see that yellow down toward Pearson and DeLand now. Deltona, Titusville, that's where we have a slight risk of severe weather there. I know they're monitoring things, hail risk in play, a little bit higher wind risk, and then even an isolated tornado risk introduced as well here. So just seeing if anything spins up right near the coast with the parameters that are in play. And now in terms of our energy, you see all that energy, those high energy values on the boards. That's definitely something worth noting down that way. No watches though, that's a different story though as you look up toward Missouri. So we'll kind of move the map up here because I know in the heartland, for instance, they're seeing the potential for some severe weather up there. Kind of interesting to talk about real quick there with some of the storms that are trying to get going. They had a categorical increase as well. Interesting to see two different increases. They had a tornado threat introduced, but then a slight risk there as we're looking for hail and wind. So just kind of showing you that real quick before we bounce it back toward our local area. I thought that was kind of interesting as we zoom back in toward Flagler County, where we just got a new update on this warning. Severe thunderstorm located near Bunnell, moving east at about 40. Flagler Beach, Bunnell, Corona under this warning. We took the inch-size hail potential out of the statement, but still 60-mile-an-hour wind gust here a possibility. So go ahead and be inside, away from windows. Lightning, heavy downpours in play as well. So just be careful out there. I'll be back in just a few minutes with more information. back with you in the Weather Center at 1:45, continuing to watch our severe thunderstorm here in parts of Flagler County. You do see that warning trim back once again. We just got an update from the Weather Service in Jacksonville. I do see they got ahead and increased the hail size potential once again back to that severe criteria of quarter size. At least that's a possibility here as the worst of the storm 7 miles west of Ormond by the Sea, moving east at about 40 miles an hour. So it's going to be out here, at least parts of this storm here, going to be out of the Jacksonville area in just a little bit as it moves in toward Volusia County, but still parts of it in Flagler. Flagler part of a viewing area, Volusia not. But while we're on, let's kind of break down who's under this warning in Volusia. We're talking about parts of Daytona Beach. Also over to Ward. It looks like as we zoom in a little bit tighter, I know. Just trying to get some of these details on here. Ormond Beach, you do have to watch out for this as well here with this storm in the Bunnell vicinity. So just pay attention if you do have any interest in that area. But again, Flagler, part of this area here that's under a warning, and Volusia under another warning based on radar indications there, and that's being monitored by the Melbourne office. So we'll check the hail potential over the last little bit now as we kind of look on back. You see it increasing a little bit again, so that's why they increased the hail size potential. And we're definitely seeing that here on the board, upwards of about 8/10 of an inch, 9/10 of an inch in diameter possibly occurring here. So that's just something to be watchful of. In fact, we'll go ahead and put on our live hail tracker now to isolate this for you just a little bit better here. It'll kind of help tell that weather story in this vicinity, and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about here as we get near areas of Flagler County that are a little more populated. So that's something to kind of take note of, and getting closer to 95, which will be more in toward Volusia County probably with this at that point there when you see that hail potential kind of cross on over toward that area. So going ahead and looking back now, zooming back on out. Severe thunderstorm warning for Flagler till 2, probably going to be our only warning today. I feel pretty comfortable about that at this point. So that's some good news. Our only warning in our viewing area today, that one issue for parts of Putnam and Flagler. Now down to this Flagler is a hail size potential just increased again. Now seeing that potential for inch size hail there in toward Flagler County. We'll zoom back on in once again. You see this not too far away from Corona. As we're going to be crossing over, it looks like our road there talking about State Highway 5. So just be aware of that. If you're on State Highway 5, I mean, you're already probably getting into some of that hail though, because this is an algorithm that kind of relies on some different things within the computer system to come up with this. It's a formula, so it takes a little bit to calculate it, so it runs a little behind. And that's something that is worth noting. This is probably a little bit further to the east than what it's showing right now, but we'll go ahead and zoom back on out. You see that gust of 56 there in the Crescent City area just a little while ago, and then as we go over the last 12 hours or so, you do see our rainfall here. We had that strip of rain here setting on up, and I'll take off our warning information for now just so we can kind of zoom in on this since we're on. We're going to go and talk about what has kind of happened here today across parts of our area. Just want to break things down for everybody. So as we were looking towards southern parts of Taylor County, southern parts of Lafayette, so around Branford, for instance, radar estimated about 1.5 inches or so. Areas there near Interstate 75 around 2 inches as we're looking near Fort White, and then in toward Lake Butler, 1.5 inches or so. Stark around 1 inch, give or take. Lardy a little bit more here, maybe instead of leaning just under 1 inch towards Stark, and now I picked up 0.92 on my rain gauge, so this is doing pretty well here with the estimates. I see 0.91 inches showing up towards Stark, and then Lardy about 1 inch up toward Highland. There, especially showing on up in toward that vicinity, and then you see a strip here extending closer to Ponte Vedra, areas there near Green Cove, just on the It looks like the southern end of things there. So we'll go ahead and zoom back on down though now. Take a look at our mesofill, mesoanalysis, and you see our higher energy values. And in terms of our temperatures, you kind of see that story is colder than north here, but still seeing some more of that fuel for the severe weather down toward the south. Again, most of it's going to be out of our area though here within the next 10 minutes or so. Really, I mean, most of it's really already out of the viewing circle, as you can tell. But in 10 minutes, I mean, we're pretty much probably going to be good to go in terms of any severe threat the rest of the day. So that's definitely some great news here as we're tracking things. I know we repeat ourselves from time to time, but we just want to stick with it since this is going to be our only warning. We don't really have to kind of maybe conserve energy per se in these situations. Sometimes when you're on for hours and hours, we were on for about 20 hours going back, not last Saturday, but the Saturday before. This is a situation where we're going to be on for about 30 minutes, and we should be done here for today. So that's good, and for the week until Monday. I know we were talking about it this morning. I'll go ahead and get our forecast graphics up here in just a moment. In fact, while we're on with things, I do want to note rainfall ended up overachieving in some spots, underachieving in others. I'll pop up that forecast real quick. This is what we showed you this morning here in terms of that rainfall forecast. And you see some of those areas here on this map underdone, but some of them a little overdone. It's kind of a broad brush. You can kind of see here a little bit more of that rainfall on south of I-10 than anything, not as much toward maybe Nassau and Duval counties, but other areas picking up more. And then now, in terms of that forecast, that rain is going to fall on down later today. This is the forecast we saw this morning, but you see cooler weather to some extent here. Saturday morning looks really nice, but then it's going to warm back up here for Mother's Day. At least there's no rain, though, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. That's something we haven't necessarily been able to say toward the weekend lately. No rain in the picture here for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but by the time we get to Monday, you see that rain chance coming back in here Tuesday, Wednesday as well. So just be ready for that here. Could have some stronger storms even coming back into focus. I know on Saturday we will be watching some storms up toward Wichita, Kansas, for instance. Some of the models there showing the threat for some more significant severe weather. So all modes of severe weather may end up being possible there towards southeastern Kansas and some surrounding regions. Maybe a threat toward the heartland on Sunday. It's a little too early to say. I know our threat last weekend, especially Sunday they are talking, and then into warm Monday, overachieved as we were looking toward the southeast. So we'll kind of watch things, keep you up to date based on what the latest outlooks had, the latest model data, what that does so. But now back to our warned area. You see the hail potential dropping down just a little bit once again according to our algorithms. This is a little delayed as we've talked about though, so keep that in mind. But luckily, the worst of the storm is starting to move out of the polygon in terms of that hail potential. Let's go ahead and go over to our other source once again here. You can kind of see there near US Highway 1 still getting some of that hail potential around. In fact, I've got a correlation coefficient. You can kind of see that there right around 95, more in toward Volusia County at this point, out of our area with that. But you do see on our wind mode a little bit of wind enhancement still in Flagler County. And we just got a report in fact, here it looks like into the chat session from the emergency management there. Emergency manager in Flagler County. A tree on a line ignited a fire and damaged the power pole. It looks like at 11 below Wood Circle at about 45 past the hour. The Flagler County Sheriff's Office dispatched there. Flagler Beach Fire responding to the scene there. So that's a report just in. So we're going to have some power outages. We've already seen some power outages, but now this severe weather threat ramping up a little bit further now toward our southeastern regions that we've been showing you here. But again, about out of the area. So that's the good news here. We're not in a situation, I've said this before, I know we're repeating ourselves, but Luckily, we're not in a situation where we have several more counties to go with this. A lot of this is going to be off the coast here, even in pretty short order. I do see we just got a significant weather advisory down toward the south, though, because they're going to be watching things towards central Florida. The Orlando television market monitoring things more carefully as they're under a slight risk now. They are under a 2 out of 5 risk for damage and winds and hail, and there has been a small tornado threat introduced there in the central Florida vicinity. So they're going to be monitoring that for sure. We're watching here near 95, though, the northern areas of the warning threat, as we do see Ormond Beach, Ormond by the Sea here. Those areas getting into some of the worst of this, in toward Volusia, more in that Orlando television market. But over the last hour, in terms of rain, you see toward Crescent City, just northeast of there, about an inch showing up in that yellow, some other inch areas showing up in the yellow as well. And then we'll go to storm total now. Our storm total amount, you see that strip I talked about going through. It's a different color table than we showed on our other product. We see in Union County, for instance, like Butler here, 1.44 inches showing up, give or take, of course, as we're looking there with that rainfall. And then you see that kind of extending on across here from west to east. But we did just get word now that warning for Flagler, it has been expired out officially here, 2 o'clock. We're not going to have to deal with that anymore, so that's some good news, as we are seeing the temperature falling off some in that vicinity now. It's going to expire officially at 2. In terms of any wind readings, I see a gust of 26 knots at the Flagler County Airport there, Palm Coast Flagler County Airport. So pretty high, but not quite necessarily tropical storm force. But the worst of the weather was to the south there. It seems, again, we had a gust of 56 at the Mesonet there, Mesonet Station, Crescent City, at about 22 past the hour. So it seemed as if we were seeing strengthening then, maybe more strengthening as those severe limits just past that side. So definitely interesting to see overall, seeing some of that information. And I know while we're on here this afternoon, I do want to touch base with you once again, just since we're not dealing with too much in our area, the heartland, I know, of America, seeing a severe weather threat start to evolve here. The threat has gone up, just like we've seen towards central Florida. I thought we would just go ahead and bring this up once again. It's not a huge deal. They had a bigger deal in terms of severe weather back Tuesday night into your Wednesday morning. We had a tornado threat above there even. We're not seeing too much of that today, but that can't be ruled out. You see here right now, it's a thunderstorm warning near Poplar, Bluff, 60-mile-an-hour wind gust, a quarter-size hail there. I know I interned there in 2015, KFBS in Cape Girardeau, so just any viewers from there, since we're on, since we don't have much more to talk about here or too much time to really need to stay on, thought I would just go ahead and touch on that one more time. Severe thunderstorm watch in play till about 6 p.m. Central Time for northeastern Arkansas, southern Illinois, far southwest Indiana, western Kentucky, southeast Missouri, and western Tennessee. So that's the story there. But back home now, you do see no watch has been issued towards central Florida as of now. They did have a mesoscale discussion here out for the areas toward the south. That's set to expire here at 2. So not looking like they're going to see anything at this point. But if things ramp up, they still have that. They still have that option in their toolkit. There's the Storm Prediction Center in Norman. So we'll zoom back on down now. Volusia, the warning riding on out. They could extend that here. We'll see what the Weather Service in Melbourne does decide to do. We won't stay on because it's out of our coverage zone per se. But we do want to just mention pretty nasty weather around Ormond Beach right now. Conditions still deteriorating in that area to some extent. And Ormond by the Sea as well here. So that's something for those folks to be aware of in parts of Volusia County there. So let's switch on over to our other map. Once again, you see the warning just popping off the screen there right now toward Ormond Beach. Some of that lightning in play, but again, the bigger storms now down toward the Orlando television market. Technically, I know Flagler is part of the Orlando television market, but it's part of the Jacksonville County warning area. And then a lot of the Jacksonville stations will cover Flagler as well. We cover it here at Cloud Weather based out of Stark here in north central Florida. So just trying to give you a little bit of inside baseball there. We'll watch that storminess near Orlando. It's getting pretty close to severe as we see that wind picking on up. I see a significant weather advisory now for Volusia till 2:15, just covering those coastal areas. Not severe maybe at this point, or it could just barely be severe, but it's going to be a short-term type of thing there at the coastal areas in terms of the part of the storm that's on the coast. If it's just under severe limit or just over severe limit, as we're seeing a lot of it push on off now into more of the coastal waters. So that's definitely some good news. You see it drying on out now. It's going to be a nice weekend. Maybe some scattered showers from time to time here, but we're looking pretty good at this point. I'll go ahead and put this back into motion. This is earlier. I'll take off our tracks here. Kind of centered it just a little bit better so you kind of see what's happened. Of course, when we're not on, didn't have any severe weather warnings earlier, you can go to cloudweather.com/radar. You can get an interactive look at things, move the map around yourself, see where lightning is even in your vicinity. So that's really helpful here as we're watching how things have transpired. Again, you saw things ramping up southeast areas. I know back last Sunday morning, not this past Sunday, but the Sunday beforehand, we did have the accent kind of strengthen to the coast. Didn't ever have a warning, but we had a weak tornado touchdown at Flagler Beach in that area there, that vicinity. So you just always have to be aware. Kind of interesting, kind of similar, seeing that strengthening there, more favorable parameters toward the beaches there, Palm Coast. So kind of watching that, we saw that report. Crescent City there, gusts to 56 miles an hour. Maybe some more issues. We did have the report there over toward Belleville there, Flagler County, tree on a line, ignited fire, damaged power poles. So interesting to see that. Just have to be kind of cognizant of those things around. But again, clearing on out. Our only warning a day down toward Putnam and Flagler. We tried that for you. Thanks so much for trusting me. I'm meteorologist Casey Cloud here in the Weather Center. Have a great rest of the afternoon and evening. Stay safe down toward Central Florida toward the heartland there of the country as well. We'll be back on Monday morning with a full weather update. See how things might transpire in terms of weather then. But just enjoy that Mother's Day weekend.